Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
This episode is brought to you by Cadillac. Cadillac certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Cadillac.com/service to learn more.
The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative. On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Red Apple Media. WABC Radio. The American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, and Hers Potato Chips present The Left versus the Right. And once again, the man who always seems to manage to get on this program is back, but he is back in better shape than he's been at any point. Every time he comes on this show, his numbers go up. Now, I'm not going to endorse him. I'm just saying that when he comes on this show, his numbers go up. Please greet television and radio personality Curtis Sliwa.
Well, thank you for making that correlation. You have figured out every time I've appeared as the person on the right to your left, I've gone up in the polls. I've raised more money as a result because the audience listens, because they have vertigo from you, Governor David Paterson. They don't know from one week to the next who you will be endorsing, but thank you for living up to your promise and not endorsing me.
Not so far.
Now, I have for you a gift from, he said, Winnie Greco. A bag of potato chips here.
Thank you.
That could either be the chips or a little of what she calls the cultural gratuity.
Yes.
That is part of her red Chinese culture, which is sciaro, mula shmula, money in a potato chips bag. Now, I've heard of a lot of ways of bribing people. Joe Bruno was charged because he was a horseman. He had horses upstate New York, and so he had a box there at Saratoga. And the lobbyists would go to a race, a claiming race, and spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars to claim one of the nags that he had that was running in the race. And he'd end up benefiting that way. I understand that. Losing card games. Remember Governor Rowland in Connecticut would purposefully think he's winning the card games. The lobbyists would come and purposefully lose. That was a way to influence him. But money in a potato chips bag? I mean,
and it wasn't even Lay's. It was Hers Potato Chips.
Oh, my God. And what was that? Sour garlic onion? Some concoction?
Well, really pretty much how it would smell after someone ate it and they're holding the money.
But apparently this news item that has dominated the coverage of Eric Adams, let's just say supporters, came about at an event that you, in fact, were at as a result of your recent pivot and shift and your re-endorsement of Eric Adams for mayor. Could you describe to our audience what that involved?
Well, as I've said before, I wanted to endorse him last year when he was first running and the issue of who was supporting, who was going on. But then when he got into the legal problems, and particularly when you get indicted by the feds, and I think you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, when you get indicted by the feds, you might as well pack up, kiss all your family members goodbye, and tell them you'll see them in 10 years. That's what usually happens. So, and it really is 90 to 95% conviction. They don't put a case on unless they feel they're holding all the marbles. So, leaving with the other candidates there, and particularly with Zohran Mamdani there, I thought the best answer was Andrew Cuomo. He's run the state for 11 years. He's done a good job and that kind of thing. But unfortunately, when I endorsed him, I didn't realize that he wasn't campaigning. When they had not the TV debates, but other events where they all appeared, he didn't come. He didn't walk the streets. He just would make these statements like, well, I think we're doing well here. And he got wiped out by 7 points. And even when they went to the ranked choice voting recount, it was up to 12 points. So at that point, Eric Adams, that was really, Curtis, his big opportunity, because he can say, look, I didn't run in the primary. I'm running in the general election, and start putting his money together and putting his people together, putting his policies together, and putting his campaign staff together. The problem is, and it's kind of been something that's dogged him, and I went through it once myself, Curtis. Now it's January of 2010. I'm trying to run for governor, but all these things are going wrong. And one day, this friend of the family said, let me take you out to lunch. I want to take you to lunch for a place that's really nice. You've never been there. And the place she took me to lunch was in New Jersey. It took about 5 minutes for everyone to figure out that I was in New Jersey, and they didn't tell the lieutenant governor that I was leaving the state. And they made this big deal about it. And then, of course, it's myself and a woman. That didn't go over.
Oh, my God.
That didn't go over well at all.
That was the Palm Steakhouse, right?
The
under
Palm
the bridge.
The River Palm.
That River Palm,
River
right
Palm
underneath
Terrace.
the George Washington Bridge.
Exactly. And it's a great restaurant. I still go there. By the way, after all these years, I have to tell you something that I've never said about that woman. She's a very good friend of our family. She also was and still is a lesbian.
What?
Yes. So.
Now, hold on. Wait a second. Time out. That did not prevent, in Bill Lynch's office, the merging of two separate entities, the Italian stallion Bill de Blasio and, at that time, a confirmed hardcore lesbian, Charlene, who somehow gave up her lesbianism and married Bill de Blasio, and they had 2 children, and you know the rest of that story. So, that is not an exemption for you, Governor
I
David
guess
Paterson. You brought it up,
Exactly,
and
not
I'm
at all.
just coming back at you.
But the thing is,
yes,
and this is where you're right, is what happens is you're trying to get it together.
Yes.
And this happens and that happens, things that, you couldn't have forecasted. And basically what happens is you get nicked to death. And I think that's what's happened to Mayor Adams. I mean, he may stay in, he's got a lot of, energy behind him. Nobody likes to get out of a race. Nobody likes to lose. But the thing is, sometimes, and that's what I saw later on in the spring of 2010, that this wasn't going to work out. No use of me wasting the public's time. They've got a good candidate who's going to run, Andrew Cuomo, who arranged this whole thing. But and
you said that with sarcasm from your lips.
Yeah, and he went on and became.
We know he threatened to indict you.
He became. That was interesting when I was going down to announce that I wasn't going to run. My wife at the time, Michelle, said, "Well, what is it that they would indict you for?" I said, "I haven't the slightest idea." But the thing was that there's this thing called karma, and it catches up to everybody. No matter how much you think you've gotten away, it comes back, and it came back. So it was embarrassing that I didn't get to run, but I left out the door. I didn't get dragged out the door like somebody else did 11 years later.
What is quite interesting here is Eric Adams was given a rebirth, a reincarnation, when Cuomo lost to Zohran Mamdani. Everybody at that time was telling me, drop out. Eric is the same.
I remember.
Cuomo has fallen. The real estate industry jumped from Cuomo to Eric Adams. The New York Post endorsed Eric Adams. Everything was breaking his way. And then he did his re-announcement for running for mayor on the front steps of City Hall. And there were a lot of the same old faces, but people that most people didn't know. The problem from day one was, with the re-announcement, some of the same people who were involved in questionable activity in his mayoral campaign and when he was borough president in Brooklyn reemerged publicly. One of them being Winnie Greco, who's best known now as the person that you want to get potato chips from because there's no potato chips in the bag, there's just money. And she claims that's just cultural for the Red Chinese. But she was there. They asked, is Ingrid Lewis-Martin, who had already been indicted previously by Bragg, is she assisting in your campaign? Yes. And a bunch of others. And I would have said at that point, somebody should have grabbed Eric Adams by the lapel and said, most politicians don't get a second opportunity like this. Whoever was involved with you that either left or got indicted, just stay away from them. Do not have them participate in your campaign in any way, shape, or form. You got enough money to hire people who are not associated with you in the past, who are not your friends. And yet, for whatever reason, you know him better than anybody else. He went back to a lot of the same old cronies. And now, in one day, we get the story of Winnie Greco with the potato chips and Ingrid Lewis getting indicted for a second time. It's like the Daily Double.
It's where you'd been better off not having a press conference and staying home and letting the campaign headquarters open itself. Because everything, once he got to the press conference, everything went wrong after that. And Curtis, you know, the interesting thing is that, and I think I've said this to you before, that I think the greatest trait in humanity, it's not love, it's not intelligence, it's not working hard, it's loyalty. And, you know, you're very loyal to the staff and the staff is loyal to you. But when they do something that puts you in a situation, you shouldn't even have to get rid of them. They should get rid of themselves. Those are the rules. And I remember when I was going to be lieutenant governor, my secretary, Charles O'Byrne, came and told me that he had this big tax problem that he hadn't been able to solve. So I said, okay, well, tell you what, let's let the Spitzer committee, do the background checks. And if it comes up, we'll deal with it. But right now, let's leave it alone. Well, we would find out almost 2 years later, Spitzer's people only background checked a third of the people that were coming into the administration. 1/3. And Charles O'Byrne was not one of them because they assumed he didn't have any problems. So, of course, I wake up one morning, I get a phone call from Howard Rubenstein, the PR guy, and he says, your approval ratings are up to 64%. Spitzer's never gotten higher than 68%. You're going to hit 70%. You're going to get reelected. So I go down to some event, and I get in the car with Charles afterward, and he goes, Fred Dicker from the Post called me. They know about my income tax problem. So we're trying to figure out what to do with it. One of the staff members, who was very close to him, I won't tell you his name, but his initials are Sean Patrick Maloney, leaked the story to the Times-Union to try to preempt the Post, who you knew would really beat up on him.
Oh, yeah.
And Fred Dicker called. He yelled at me. He always called me governor. He yelled at me for a half an hour. And at one point he said, David, if you knew who gave me the information, you would know that the Times-Union could never have gotten it. And, of course, I know who gave him the information. It's the person who's always behind the creepy difficulties that people get into. But the reality is, so as soon as I heard about this, O'Byrne had to leave. I fired Sean Patrick Maloney because he leaked to the media something that only caused more problems for me.
Yep.
And if you're going to hold that kind of office, sometimes you're going to have to swing the hatchet. And unfortunately, Eric, he's moved people to different places, but sometimes it's got to be a real spectacle.
Well, it's like in football, you're in training camp, and it comes down to the last few placements as you go into the NFL season. And the Turk shows up at your training room that you're generally sharing with somebody else who's trying to make the team. And the Turk says, turn in your playbook. The coach wants to see it, which means it's over.
Right.
They have some last words, maybe figure out another place you might be able to play, or maybe where you could play, some
Canadian Football League.
Exactly. But it's generally, it ain't good. You're right. Eric Adams doesn't have that. Now he has Randy Mastro, who's his first deputy mayor, who's really running the city on a day-to-day basis while Eric campaigns for re-election.
And here's a man who would have no compunction about blasting someone right out of there who he felt was acting against the interests of the administration.
But you see, this is the Achilles heel. Ingrid Lewis-Martin is no longer with the administration. Winnie Greco no longer with the administration. Yet, it was announced that they came back as volunteers. Now, as somebody who's dealt with volunteers both in the Guardian Angels and obviously on the campaign, somebody may want to volunteer, but you don't have to accept them as a volunteer. You could say, thank you very much, but we're moving in a different direction. He seems to act like, well, they're just volunteers, at least in the public statements that are made. No, they're more than volunteers because they were well known to be high-ranking officials before they either had to leave or you told them to leave, and now you're accepting them back as volunteers. Everybody's going to be watching their movements. So you had to figure out that Ingrid Lewis-Martin might get indicted again. You had to figure out that Winnie Greco was still trying to wine, dine, and pocket line people on your behalf. Well, we never knew with bags of potato chips. That's a first. Generally, what happened in the 2021 election, where I actually beat the Democrat Eric Adams with the Chinese vote, first time a Republican ever won the Chinese vote, it was really because I was able to avoid the red envelopes. I had a gentleman named Phil Wong, who's now running for city council.
Yeah,
he would
Phil.
be with me. Right, Phil, you know Phil. And he would tell me, no, don't take that red envelope. No, it's stuffed with cash. No, they're going to expect a quid pro quo. They're going to say it's cultural, especially during the Chinese New Year celebrations from the end of January to the beginning of February. They're always giving red envelopes. Generally, it has like anywhere from $5 to $10 to $20. But hey, Winnie Greco, she was very generous with that bag of chips as she tried to bribe Katie Holden all those, as she said, I just want you to be my friend, Katie. She's investigating you, Winnie. We know why you were giving her money.
And she is known not to have a positive relationship with Mayor Adams.
No, of course not. And some of that is due to the fault that Eric Adams has had many press conferences in which he said, you're not printing my side of the story. Now, that's almost a guarantee that you're never going to have your side of the story printed. It's like when Trump challenges the media fires back.
Yeah, even yesterday, Adams said, we're going to take questions about the opening of the headquarters. We're not going to take questions about anything else. The first person did ask a question, how much does the headquarters cost? He didn't know the answer, but he, whatever. And the next person asked a question that had to do with Mamdani or something, and he wouldn't answer it. You see, what happens is you put yourself in a position where now you have a reputation inside the media. I mean, I used to get so aggravated at some of the things they would say to me, but I would never try to go after them right in front of everyone. I might call them up later on, one-to-one, and ask, how could you say that or something like that? But you can't. You're the leader. You're not supposed to make yourself look like somebody that can't be harassed from time to time.
But it was interesting when you were getting pounded after you took over the governorship from neat socks Elliot Spitzer, who would have gone away to federal prison for a violation of the Mann Act for transporting women across state lines for the purpose of prostitution. Immediately, Andrew Cuomo, then Attorney General, gets on the phone with the New York Post and starts accusing you of taking free Yankee tickets during the World Series against the Phillies. That came from Andrew Cuomo, who had a relationship with Randy Levine, the former deputy mayor of the Giuliani administration, who was now president of the Yankees. They double-teamed you. Meantime, the governor of Pennsylvania was getting free tickets.
Every elected official in that stadium that night, other than me, had free tickets. But there's another candidate running for mayor we haven't talked about enough.
Who's that?
That's you.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll be right back.
They're looking
Just
good.
hold up.
They're looking good.
We'll be right back to do that.
The Left versus the Right on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork and make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Shop the Ninja Luxe Cafe at ninjakitchen.com.
Put us in a box. Go ahead. That just gives us something to break out of. Because the next generation 2025 GMC Terrain Elevation is raising the standard of what comes standard. As far as expectations go, why meet them when you can shatter them? What we choose to challenge, we challenge completely. We are professional grade. Visit gmc.com to learn more.
Are you ready to dairy-free your mind? This summer, melt away your dairy-free expectations with So Delicious dairy-free frozen desserts. Enjoy mind-blowing flavors like salted caramel cluster, chocolate cookies and cream, cookie dough, and more. For over 35 years, So Delicious has been cranking up the flavor with show-stopping products that are 100% dairy-free, certified vegan by Vegan Action, and are so unbelievably creamy, your taste buds will do a double take. Dairy-free your mind. Visit SoDeliciousDairyFree.com.
In the time it takes us to say, we're using Folgers Instant Coffee, seamlessly blended with water and ice. A splash of whatever kind of milk is your thing. And gotta get that caramel drizzle. All to make a toasty, roasty, caramel iced coffee. You could be enjoying it. Every damn sip of it. Damn right. It's Folgers Instant.
The Left versus the Right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And thank you to our sponsors for giving us the opportunity to be on here every Saturday afternoon from 3 to 4 o'clock on WABC 77, your talk station and your music station later on in the day. But right now, we're going to talk some more, and we're going to talk about the campaign of a candidate who is also running for mayor, whose name barely came up as a candidate in the first part of our program, but it will come up now because I'm going to say, so Curtis, I would think things are looking much better for you once again. Despite how I feel, the reality is that you have a real chance here to take a lot of those votes if Mayor Adams doesn't survive, that otherwise would have been for him, or at least to assure others who still haven't made a choice that you can be that guy.
Well, I want to thank you, Governor Paterson, for recognizing my humility and how humble I was in that first segment by not mentioning my own campaign.
I thought it was outstanding.
Well, no, it's because we were dancing on the grave of Eric Adams, and I wasn't going to stop the tarantella or the horror that was taking place. But in terms of my own campaign, you are right. Things have been going extraordinarily well. There's been a compilation of polls, and I'm the only one to actually have gone up. Zoran Mandami has sort of hit a plateau. Andrew Cuomo is receding pretty much the way his hairline has been of late. And as we've said about Eric Adams, he's crashed and burned. He can't break double digits. The positive things here are that not only are my numbers going up, but the money's going up. I actually raised more money than all the candidates combined in the last segment of fundraising. I got $2 million in matching funds.
And that did not go unnoticed.
Right. But Adams got nothing, Cuomo got nothing, and Zohran Mamdani got about $1.7 million. So we have another trough of money coming in at the end of this month. We anticipate probably the same amount. So we're actually sort of trending in the right direction at the right time, right before Labor Day when the real campaign starts.
Exactly.
You got to have your money for TV time, for micro-targeting, and for going after your vote, because it's all about getting your vote out. Now, Zohran Mamdani has his own machine from the Working Families Party and the DSA. The question is he going to have institutional help from the Democratic support that came after his primary victory? He's not banking on that. That's where Cuomo and Adams are hoping to be able to get some of those foot troopers. I have a feeling a lot of them are just going to stay home. They're not going to want to be seen out there in case Zohran becomes mayor. With me, I don't have those problems. I am the Republican candidate. There are no other Republican candidates. And I have a whole source of volunteers, a lot of millennials, a lot of Gen Zers who are going to go door to door as we micro-target our vote. And again, the secret weapon that some people don't realize is potent is the independent line that my wife Nancy has created, the first independent line to qualify in this election cycle, even before Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, is the Protect the Animals line, which calls for no-kill shelters and for incarcerating animal abusers. That resonates across party lines, and especially with women who, as you know, David Paterson, that's where the bulk of the vote comes from, female voters. They're the majority of the population. They're the majority of the voters. They're not the loudest. The guys are the loudest.
And they're also the majority of the pet owners.
Right. And the guys tend to be the loudest, but the guys tend to be the ones who don't show up by November 4th. So we've got our program to get out the vote in effect. I'm sure Zohran Mamdani has. But what's happening in the polls, originally cost of living and affordability was 1 and 2. Now it's neck and neck with public safety and quality of life. Now, why is that? Because a series of mass shootings, a series of slashings and stabbings, some of them that have affected women in the subways. So it's not the imagination that Eric Adams and Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch said, it's our perception. It's feeling now that we're in a crime crisis. Now, that plays to my strengths because Zohran Mamdani has been very weak on law and order and public safety, the most recent being he wants to legalize prostitution in all 350 communities. By the way, Andrew Cuomo didn't remember. He may be suffering a little bit of what Biden had, David Paterson. He couldn't remember that he actually signed the legislation as governor to discontinue loitering laws. So he was asked by Melissa Russo of Channel 4, you're the one who signed the bill that allows people to basically prostitute themselves wherever, whenever. He goes, I can't remember signing that. That is not a very good sign. But he was attacking Zohran Mamdani for that position when he, in fact, was the person that signed that legislation that made it possible. Whereas I've been opposed to that very consistently. And then, obviously, defunding the police. I have always said we have to basically refund the police, put $1 billion back into the budget that was taken out. And my bona fides in law and order and public safety is my strength. It is the weakness, the Achilles heel in these polls for Zohran Mamdani. And a lot of people aren't buying this new, resurrected, reinvented Andrew No Bail Cuomo, Raise the Age Cuomo, Close Rikers Island Cuomo, a guy who is very friendly to the criminal and now claims he's the best friend that law enforcement ever had. People aren't going to buy that, Governor David Paterson, unless he thinks that everybody out there is a stunad and can't remember, which, as you know, a lot of Republicans and Democrats, they truly believe that people are stupid, that they will not remember what was said 5 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago, 5 days ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago, 5 years ago. And I disagree with that. I trust the people. I don't trust the politicians.
Now I want to ask you a question that does not require any names or any figures.
But I'm ready to drop names and figures.
Okay. there are a lot of rumors floating around, which actually worked very well for you.
Uh-oh.
But a lot of rumors floating around that major offers have been made to you to get out of the race. Is that true?
Absolutely not. A major offer, what is that? A free lifetime opportunity to
we'll
ride this
give
race?
the Guardian Angels $2 million if you'll get out.
Oh, man, that's a lot of money. No.
Didn't happen.
By the way, if it did happen, I would say ixnay to that. No. Thank you, but no thank you.
And I don't think people understand that when a person works this hard to be out every day for the whole year, here we are, almost at the end of August, and then you say to them, oh, well, we'll give you all this stuff if you get out. It's hard to square with yourself that you would take that, because you would spend the rest of your life wondering, I wonder what would have happened if I stayed in.
Yeah. At some point, Governor David Paterson might have endorsed me if I stayed in. And I would never have found that out. You're running out of candidates to endorse.
I know.
It's either me or Zoran. Please endorse Zoran.
One more bad thing, and I'm just going to have to step in myself as a write-in vote.
Yes.
And because but this is...
Well, let's go through the rumors. The President Trump was going to offer me a position in the White House. That did not happen, nor would it happen. I would respectfully say, Mr. President, if you would ever call me directly, there's only one job I'm interested in, being mayor. Number two, and the mayor floated this out, Eric Adams, in a few of his meetings. He said, we'll definitely make Curtis Sliwa deputy mayor of public safety. What does that do for Kaz Daughtry, Mr. I'm going to do a video today that makes a fool out of myself? Well, anyway, that would be like having two scorpions in a brandy glass. I mean, can you imagine me and Eric Adams in the same room for more than 5 minutes in harmony and peace like ebony and ivory? Never happened. Never happened. So the fact is, all these rumors have percolated. That's when people were trying to get me out of the race, and when my polling numbers were not good and people had said, you haven't raised any money. Oh, boy, as you know, 6 weeks can be a lifetime in politics. The numbers, I'm the only one going up in the polls. I'm raising more money than anybody else. Now, all of a sudden, wow, you could win this. Maybe Eric Adams should try to get a job in the Trump administration. Governor David Paterson, you know this. Nobody's dropping out. Cuomo's not dropping out. Adams is not dropping out. I'm not dropping out. It's going to be up to the voters to determine who the next mayor of the city of New York is, and not the billionaires.
Well, let me say this. For you, I agree. For Cuomo, I agree. We know Zoran Mondani is not even thinking about dropping out. But it might be very difficult for Mayor Eric Adams, who did a lot of good things in his time here and communicates very well with the public and is a well-liked person and a law enforcement official who went into politics and at times was even at odds with other law enforcement officials as well. I just wonder today, Saturday, at this time, going on 4 o'clock, how he's feeling about this, because up until, I'd say, the last 48 hours, there was a pathway. But every time the pathway starts to look like it's going somewhere, there's some outside intervention that creates a situation. And I only say that because that was why I didn't continue and run for re-election in 2010. I wanted to, but I just felt there were too many traps set for me.
There were.
Like an indictment waiting to happen.
Exactly. There were many, many traps set for you. I think with Eric Adams, he enjoys being mayor. He does. Yeah. And he enjoys campaigning. He is a good retail politician. He's out there in the crowd. He loves that. It's like me. I love retail politics. I treat the streets of New York City and the subways like it's a mosh pit. Whether you like me or not, I just dive in. We know that Andrew Cuomo hates retail politicking, hates it. That's why in the weekends, he's out in the Hamptons, and he's very tepid when he works a crowd. Zoran Mondani, ever since he's mainstreamed after the victory against Cuomo, Notice how he is starting to act a little bit like his mentor, de Blasio. I want to call him Zorhan de Blasio because now apparently, according to his own admissions to Time magazine, he stops in the middle of the day and walks in cemeteries. That's something that Bill de Blasio did. And the reason he walks...
when you said it, I thought you were talking about Bill de Blasio.
Exactly. Well, like father, like son. In many ways, it's Father de Blasio and son Zorhan de Blasio. But apparently, Zorhan now walks into cemeteries, which he says he likes because it's a park without people. So he is a thespian. Remember, his roots are in filmmaking, not just from his mother. He's made films. And he certainly, during the primary, appeared to be everywhere enjoying the crowds. I don't think he's enjoying this part of the campaign for one simple reason. He's had to swap out the leadership that got him there, all the DSA working families people. If you notice, he's brought in a lot of mainstream Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
These are not people who were aligned with him to begin with. So there has to be some, let's just say, tough times going on internally for those that were there from day one, who deserve to be there now. They got him to where he is. Number two, he's now transported by armed police officers 24/7 in an SUV. If I were advising Zorhan Mandami, I'd say, are you out of your mind? That SUV is wired up like a Christmas tree. When you inhale and exhale, Eric Adams people are listening on the other side. Go back to what you were doing before. Now, I'm no supporter of Zorhan Mandami. I want him to lose. He would be a horror for the city. He would be de Blasio on steroids. But you can see he's different now. It's not the same Zorhan Mandami. And I think that's why he now leaves the campaign in different times of the day and walks through cemeteries. That's a bit odd, Governor David Paterson. You're walking in cemeteries and talking to the dead. Now, your party is able to get the dead to vote for them.
But, you know, a lot of those tombs are from people who are still registered. So he can still pick up their votes even though they're dead, like in Chicago.
Exactly. But Bill de Blasio loved walking through the Greenwood Cemetery Park Slope. I believe that Zorhan Mandami has been spotted because if you want to know who goes into cemeteries, just ask the grave diggers. Most of them are actually on parole from state prison. They get a job right away digging ditches for graves. I believe he's walked through Calvary, which has 3 million bodies buried there. It's right when you get on the Long Island Expressway on your way to the Queens Midtown Tunnel. And this is odd.
So if he gets half of them, he becomes mayor.
Yeah, exactly. But think of it. He likes to walk in a cemetery because it's a park without people, which would suggest he's beginning to develop a little bit of an aversion to having people around him all the time.
De Blasio certainly did.
I and Eric Adams, we love it. We love being out there, jumping into a crowd. People can talk all kinds of smack. But I don't think that Zorhan Mandami is loving this campaign as much as he did in the beginning. And secondarily, he basically took off for 13 days and had to recharge himself in Idi Amin land, where they kill gays and lesbians, at his Ponderosa estate, where he was guarded by AK-47 toting commandos wearing masks, and nobody could use their cell phones. Sounds a little bit like a fiefdom and possibly the trappings of a dictatorship to me.
Well, you know, there is that tendency of socialists to have you agree with them, but if you don't agree with them 100% of the time, they cast you out. And I think he may feel the weight coming under him. But I'm feeling the weight of the advertisers who are making very rude gestures toward me. Some of them I think I should address after the program, but we'll be back right after these important messages.
The Left versus the Right on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Your local Benjamin Moore retailer is more than a paint expert. They're someone with paint in their soul, a sixth sense honed over decades. And if you have a question about paint, it's almost as if they can read your mind.
I sense you need a 2-inch angle brush for the trim in your family room. Regal selected an eggshell finish and directions to the post office.
Benjamin Moore paint is only sold at locally owned stores. Benjamin Moore. See the love.
You set the table, put on a playlist, even made the lasagna from scratch. And now you're wearing it. OxyClean Max Force Spray tackles tough, set-in stains the first time. Adulting is hard. Fighting stains shouldn't be. OxyClean Max Force. It's not clean unless it's OxyClean.
The summer sun hums. And all you crave is something cold and crisp. So you pour it. An icy cocktail made with Tequila Don Julio. Crafted with 100% Blue Weber agave, born under the Mexican sun, and made to be shared when the day runs long and the light gets golden. Shop now at donjulio.com. Please drink responsibly. Don Julio Tequila, 40% alcohol by volume, imported by Diageo Americas, New York, New York.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
The left versus the right. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We're back. Everybody else has had their say, and this will be the final say for Curtis and myself on this week's edition of The Left versus the Right. And Curtis first came on this show back in March, and in those days, you know, I felt almost like I was doing him a favor, but I did know at the time and did think that he would be able to put together a pretty good campaign. And now here we are.
Now, I got to ask you this, Governor David Paterson. You know Andrew Cuomo better than I do. But back in March, he was selling himself as the man who could stand up to Donald Trump.
Oh.
That there was nobody better at standing up to Donald Trump. In fact, he said that Donald Trump was an existential threat to not only New York City, but the country.
That's a quote.
Right. He threw the gauntlet down, ready to go to war, said Zohran Mamdani would be smashed in trying to stand up to Donald Trump. That was his selling point. There were a lot of Democrats who voted for him for that reason because, as you know, this is not a friendly area to Donald Trump. A lot of Democrats hate Donald Trump. So he's over in the Hamptons where he loves to be. Do you think maybe we could encourage him to run for the mayoralty of the Southampton community there? He spends so much time there. But anyway, he's in the Hamptons. He's with this group of Democrats for Trump led by Andy Stein. Now, I must ask you this question because it's very reminiscent of de Blasio, who was a von Wilhelm. His father was a war hero, Purple Heart earner who lost his leg in the Battle of Okinawa. But he said that he had to change his name to his mother's maiden name because he had been abused by his father. Now, he has two other brothers who have remained von Wilhelms. But he decided to be de Blasio, and I think in a calculated way, saying, I'm coming down to Brooklyn. A German name may offend Jews. I'll never get elected. Forget it. I'll keep my mother's maiden name. Now, Andy Stein, that's a Jewish name. But I guess he figured he'd never go anywhere nationally since his father, who owned the law journal,
Jerome Finkelstein.
Right, thought that his son could become the first Jewish president of the United States. This guy can't chew gum and think at the same time, Andy Stein. But that being what it is, he is Stein. His father is Finkelstein. His brother is Finkelstein. Why did he change his name to Stein? Can we clarify that first?
I think that Finkelstein sounds more Jewish than Stein.
Very good observation. Number two, He ran against your very dear friend David Dinkins to become Manhattan Borough president. And guess who was the liberal in that race? Andy Stein, not David Dinkins. And Andrew Stein barely beat him.
He beat him in 1981.
And then in 1979, he was walking his dog at 76th and 5th Avenue with his girlfriend at the time. And two thugs came up and put knives to their back and said, your money or your life. He gave $100 out of his wallet. That's all he had. He said, please don't take the dog, but you can take my girlfriend. They said no. He became a raving law and order moderate Democrat after that and said, lock him up and throw away the key. He became a Trumper. And now he has led an effort that apparently is trying to convince President Donald Trump that Curtis Sliwa cannot win, Eric Adams cannot win, so that the president should publicly endorse Andrew Cuomo for mayor. And in fact, Andrew Cuomo suggested to that crowd that he would love to be endorsed by Donald Trump. Now, then he comes back to the city to campaign. He's absolutely not. I have the shield. I have the sword. I will battle MAGA and Trumpism. Which Andrew Cuomo is it? Well, the real Andrew Cuomo, please stand up. Please stand up.
Well, he did go rather far out for a person who is continuing that he is the one who can stand up to Trump. He's Trump's worst nightmare, all these things. That's what he said at the beginning of the year. And now he's realizing that he might pick up a little support there. But I've got to tell you, Curtis, I want to know the person who wants to support one of the candidates who then shifts because Donald Trump said to vote for Cuomo, or really anyone else for that matter. If it was a hard right Republican that was running and Donald endorsed them, you could see that. But in this particular case, I agree with you. I don't see why Donald Trump would have any interest in Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo.
But Governor Paterson, we know that the president has had conversations with Eric Adams. That's fine.
Sure.
We know that he has been a lifelong friend of the Cuomo family, going back to when the patriarch Fred of the Trump clan. Not Ku Klux Klan,
right. Yes.
Family. You know how they always accused him of being a member of the Klan. Not so. Don't push that on me. But we're very friendly with Mario. Actually contributed to some of his initial campaigns. So I understand they're lifelong friends, even though they had quite a battle when Trump was first president. I've never received a call. I've not gone to Mar-a-Lago or the White House. I've not been asked to. I think it's in everybody's best interest, internationally, nationally, and locally, that the president be like Switzerland. Why? Bringing peace to the Ukraine and Russia, I think we can all agree, is far more important. And ending this bloody war in Gaza between Israel and Hamas, because every day this war continues.
Yeah, now even by today, Israel's in Gaza City now.
Yeah, so every day this war continues is a good day for Zoran Mandami. Every day that Zoran Mandami can campaign against Donald Trump and not against Curtis Sliwa or Eric Adams or Andrew Cuomo is a good day, because we're going to get him on the issues. So he loves that. So I would suggest that the president, with everything he has to do in the world, I mean, he's on the cusp of possibly winning a Nobel Peace Prize. Even Hillary said, if you can make peace between Ukraine and Russia, she'll nominate him. Hillary said she would nominate him.
And you got to say, that was a brilliant statement, because even if he doesn't get it done, she can always say, well, he tried.
Yeah.
He tried, and I give him credit for it. He tried.
He's sitting them down. Look,
if he gets it done, then she says, yes, he should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I won't support him in 2028, but he's done a great job. He's been a good president.
So the point,
and by the way, that works in a lot of ways to her advantage, some of which I won't go into.
Oh, I see. It's Operation Hush Hush Much Much. As you know, her husband Bill has endorsed Zoran Mandami.
I know.
Trying to figure that one out. But there are problems in the RNC. because not everyone there agrees with Trump, who is obviously a citizen of New York, grew up here, loves this city of his birth. There are members in the RNC and there are members in the DNC who hate New York City for a variety of reasons. We get too much attention. We're the focus of everything going on in the country, capitalism, media attention. So there are members of the RNC who are saying, no, maybe it's better if, in fact, Zohran Mamdani becomes the mayor, because then he's the poster child, and we will definitely win the midterm elections. No more impeachments of Donald Trump. No more investigations, since they would then have the majority in the House. And it will pave the way for Elise Stefanik to use that by saying, on day one when I'm governor, as I run against Kathy Hochul, I swear to all of you that I will fire Zohran Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. Now, a governor has the power to do that. It's never been done before. But it worked well for Zeldin when he ran against Hochul, when he said on day one, I would fire Alvin Bragg, the DA. The governor has the power to do that. So that can be a real good linchpin for Elise Stefanik. So I know that there are Republicans who publicly and privately want Zohran Mamdani to win for their own selfish needs, winning the midterm elections and assuring that Elise Stefanik might be able to beat Kathy Hochul in her re-election bid. And shame on all of those who would say that. You're going to sacrifice New York City to socialism to prevent Hakeem Jeffries from becoming Speaker of the House? Hey, I don't like Hakeem Jeffries, but that's not a fair trade. And let Elise Stefanik run against Kathy Hochul on the merits of their differences, and not the fact that she can say, on day one, I swear to all of you, when sworn in Albany, I will fire that socialist / communist / anti-Semite. What else are they calling him now? There's so many terms. On day one, he will no longer be mayor of the city of New York, which legally she can do, but it's never been tested legally.
And honestly, I think if she were the one to test it, there would be a huge backlash. And not just from New York City residents.
Will anybody be left in New York City to launch a backlash? You see, by that time, they may have all departed except for the socialists, who will think that that's nirvana, that's utopia, that's the people's republic of New York City. Workers of the world, unite! God, Potemkin Village.
At this time, what would happen if the mayor happens to be Mayor Curtis Sliwa?
Oh, God. Oh, could you say that one more time?
Mayor Curtis Sliwa.
That's music to my ears. I love it when I'm in the subways, because I'm the only candidate in the subways, and they say, hey, Mayor! Hey, Mayor! Because normally they say, hey, Curtis, hey, Mayor. I feel so good. What I would do on day one? You know what I would do, Governor David Paterson, day one? I would ask all 400 people who were fired as a result of not being able to take the vaccine or choosing not to because of religious or medical reasons. They were the heroes, remember? In the lockdown and pandemic, every night at 7 o'clock, we applauded them.
Right.
Then we turned them into zeros: health workers, cops, firefighters, sanitation workers, people in the MTA. I would ask them to come on stage. I would recognize them, honor them, even if they chose not to come back and live in New York City, because many of them have left, their lives destroyed. If you want your job back or not, you get all your back pay, your benefits, and most importantly, your honor. The honor of knowing you are the heroes and not the zeros that first de Blasio and then Adams turned you into. Wouldn't that be a nice inauguration day?
I tell you, on that note, I think that this is the best we can do. If we got into a situation where the city's pulse is lowered, people respect each other and get along with each other, there is an understanding about what the serious issues are: crime, education, obviously housing issues, homeless issues. That would be a great situation.
And I would extend the olive branch to you, Governor David Paterson.
Oh, I'm shocked.
I would ask you to become my political consigliere because every time we sit down and you discuss the merits of a decision the mayor has to make, the political consequences, I'll know whatever you suggest, I should do the opposite of.
Exactly.
Oh, by the way, here's your Winnie Greco
potato chips.
Potato
Flip
chip.
them over here.
How much money did she stuff in that bag?
I don't know, but
she's got the booster bag.
You know, I'll just say that I hope that Mayor Adams doesn't cash in his chips. So this has been really another conversation with a potential mayor of the city of New York, whose name is Curtis Sliwa.
Could you say that one more time?
I would like Mayor Curtis Sliwa, potentially the next mayor of New York. I would like to point out that not one of the other candidates has ever come to the left versus the right.
That's because they're all on the left with you.
Well, I think it's more than that. I think that they just don't get the hidden areas where you can pick up support. Saturday afternoons,
Yes.
people driving around their cars,
Oh, yeah.
a lot of them listening to the radio, a number of them waiting to hear John Sterling. How many minutes to John Sterling? Nobody knows. Okay. But this is going to be, I think, the next 2 months, one of the most fascinating periods in New York politics and even in the social fabric of New York, because the candidates are so different. They have such different ideas about how to run the city. They are going to clash with each other. And as I suspected when we did the first show, you'll be right in the middle of it.
Can I ask a question, since John Sterling is following us, the voice of the Yankees, for decades? I used to do the post-game show when Atlanta played the Yankees in the World Series, and John Sterling would just keep going on and on and on. And during the break, I'd say, John, don't you have something to do? The Yankees lost this game.
Yeah, go home.
Nobody wants to
have
hear.
a drink.
Exactly. I got it. Come on, John. But hey, that was great. What a set of pipes, John Sterling.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I first got to know who he was when he was the broadcasting voice of the New York Nets basketball team that played in the Nassau Coliseum. This is back 70, 71, 72.
Oh, Julius Erving.
And Julius Erving was
the
big star.
Oh, my God.
Lou from St. John's.
I thought you knew John Sterling when you got those free Yankee tickets that Cuomo wanted to indict you
That
on.
was the night that I should have gotten John to get me in there, but it didn't. It just didn't work out. So we, I think that this is going to be, I'd say, the next 3 weeks, because, just up past Labor Day, it's really going to start to define who is really going to be in the forefront of this campaign. And so I know you'll be working hard, and it is, again, an honor to have you come on with the left versus the
so
right.
Happy to see you weren't indicted with Ingrid Lewis Martin.
I know. But thank you all for joining us. As we said, John Sterling is coming up at 4 o'clock to carry you through until some music at 6 o'clock, I believe, with Vinnie Medugno, and then Cousin Brucey, and then maybe even Eric Adams will come on later tonight to sing a little song for everybody here on WABC. Thanks for joining us. Talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Left versus the Right. You can hear The Left versus the Right Saturday afternoons at 4. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?